So essentially, Pocket Explorers aims to reconnect digital savvy kids with the natural world, because there's a real disconnect between, kids that are now familiar with technology, devices are now more popular and more accessible to kids. But when used in the right way, it can be really beneficial. So we thought, why not merge the online and the offline world and create a platform that has kid-friendly content, but the whole point of it is that we're a facilitator. So we encourage kids to spend more time outdoors as opposed to more time on a screen. So, an ideal situation for us is that they spend like a couple of minutes on our app trying to find something to do outside, and we encourage them through gamification and various methods that Tom will explain in a minute to spend more time outside. So it's the brand that we're trying to create. We're trying to carve our little niche out in this world that's cluttered with, the Moshi Monsters, the Club Penguins of the world that have their place. And when we were growing up, there was no technology for me. I didn't have an iPhone growing up, so I was exposed to the natural world, which would be quite scary for kids today. So what we're trying to do is, kind of bring back that, that idea into this world. So the idea is that it's free at the moment. It's a flagship iOS app. We launched it about 3-4 weeks ago now. It's doing pretty well. It's had 2,000 downloads. We haven't really pushed it that much because we're actually in Wire at the moment, and their milestones didn't really coordinate with our milestones. So we launched it a little bit earlier than we probably should have done. So at the moment, we're kind of in our testing phase with real users. We're learning a lot very quickly and currently adapting the app.
We like to think of ourselves as in open beta. We've launched in the App Store quite recently. We've seen 2,000 downloads, and we're very happy with that. Our current position is that we want to take on user feedback. We get families in on a regular basis and have them help us fine tweak both the activities, the characters, basically the brand. We want to launch steady and smoothly. So the app consists of 5 different areas. So Discover on the far left can be thought of as our mini Facebook. The back-end system is all controlled by us. We have laptops, we can upload photos, essentially everything we need. But it's a shortcut to everything else in the app. So the second we tap something, our entire audience sees these. So we like to think of it as being things to do, but also the most recent bits and bobs. Activities is the second piece. This is sort of a hippie way of looking on the project, but it's my entire reason for being a part of it is, I imagine as a parent, one of the nicest things in the world is to be given something created by your kid. That's got to be a really nice feeling, or at least to see them do something, feel like they've achieved something and go, oh, look what I did, it's a thing. This is our way of giving them things to do. So it's our list of it's a list of activities. I like to think of it again as it's the Scouts, but in an app. That's our entire premise. Our 2 mascots are Flint and Fern. The idea is you receive hints from Flint as you go about your day. There to help you get your answers right. And you get a learn from Fern if you do get your answer right, which is the educational piece. You have learned something about nature, hopefully about growing up and being a human being. Trails is our way of enabling our users. So we like to think that the world is all of ours, and over time we're missing all the little things. What we have here is we look at Runkeeper and we think, okay, that's cool, that's a health thing. Hint from Flint, don't run in front of cars. Right, so yeah, uses your location. If I were to tap Let's Go and walk down the road, back again, along the way I could select points of interest. That might be a squirrel that I think is particularly funny looking. It could be an odd-shaped leaf. Something way more extravagant is London, so you can use your imagination. Sample Trails is also where we hope to monetize eventually. This is where our ties to people like the BBC, the National Trust come in. So imagine your family, you have that favorite show you watch every weekend, be it Doctor Who, it could be anything you can imagine. So I mentioned the Scouts. This is your list of badges that you achieve over time. Essentially, each one is an educational piece. It's also worded in a friendly kids way.
Cool, thanks. Almost there.
I used to work for the Science Museum, and one of the big things we struggled with was getting kids into the museum, or kids wanting to go with their parents to the museum. And I know museums are really desperate to get apps, and a lot of museums have Wi-Fi. Have you looked at the museum option and enabling museums for kids?
It's something we've considered. We haven't actually acted on it yet. So things like, for example, I know that David Attenborough and that 3D app they made, I think it was David Attenborough Live, I loved that, at the Natural History Museum, yeah. So something like that where you could go on like a virtual tour of the museum, but using Tom's characters and the badges to take the experience to life almost, a little bit like how the David Attenborough Live thing worked. And it would just kind of, we'd want to incentivize a kid to go because they get a certain badge that their friends didn't have, or they'd get a certain reward when they got there that their friends weren't going to have. It's all about that pester power, so kind of turning it around on the kids and make them want to take the parent.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely, I'd love to talk to you actually, considering you used to work there.
Yeah.